while Rimac blows away the world with an insane electric supercar, and Porsche builds new battery factories to supply incredible demand for its Taycan and its new Taycan Cross, Ferrari, on the other hand, stubbornly refuses to budge. Hi guys, and welcome to the channel. My name is Sam Evans and you're watching the Electric Singularity. If you haven't already subscribed, make sure you do so to get notifications for videos on this channel. We're going to be bringing out some insane videos soon about some of the crazy electric cars coming out and what I believe you should invest on or not invest in the electric world. That includes battery stocks, car stocks, and even energy stock. And those could be one and the same thing going forward over the next decade. So I see enormous opportunity for growth, enormous opportunity for you to build your wealth over the next decade. And I'm going to talk to you more about that in other videos. Now guys, if you haven't already watched my other videos about my bankruptcy series, well, I'm going to call it my bankruptcy series. I've already predicted that Ford will go bankrupt unless they pivot. But based on their current plans, I believe they will go bankrupt unless they receive some sort of astronomical bailout from the United States government. I've also predicted in the bankruptcy of other companies. Now, I believe the next on this list is Ferrari. Ferrari are in huge trouble right now because of their leadership. Now, if you haven't already seen it, I'd be surprised, but there was a video released by CarWow only a couple of days ago showing the new Rimac supercar. They compared the Rimac supercar against the latest Ferrari, the fastest and best Ferrari on the market, called the SF90 Stradale. This thing is admittedly pretty cool. The Ferrari did pretty well. Actually, it got slaughtered, but for the price that it cost in comparison to the Rimac, it did fairly well. In Australia, this Ferrari will cost around about $700,000 before options. And you're probably going to want some options because it's just the way they're packaged. So, you'd probably end up paying about $800,000 for the Ferrari. Whereas on the other hand, for the Rimac, you're probably looking at maybe $3 to $4 million. Big difference in price. Rimac, of course, is fully electric, and it did a quarter-mile time of around about 8.6 seconds with the host, Matt from CarWow, driving the car. So, in other words, it's piss easy to do a very fast time in that car. The Ferrari did extremely well. It did a quarter-mile in around about 9.6 seconds. However, CarWow intentionally only showed you 3 drag strip runs. They only showed you 3, right? Because the Ferrari has a battery pack, which is 6 kilowatt hours. In other words, about the size of a battery pack you'd put on a motorbike. Minuscule. So, to do a fast quarter-mile time in that Ferrari, you can only last for 3 runs. Any more than 3 runs and the battery will be exhausted. The battery only does 9 miles of range. 9 miles of range. In other words, it's all show and no go. Now, I'm sorry, Ferrari lovers, but that's true because imagine driving this vehicle around the Nürburgring, right? How long is it? Around about 7 minutes in a very, very fast car. Let's say the Ferrari attempts to do the Nürburgring. How long do you think before the Ferrari has to drag its 270 kilos of batteries and motors for the electric system, and it's not doing anything? Not very long. I would say no more than 1.5 minutes before the car is simply dragging around that 270 kilos of excess weight, which is doing absolutely nothing. Of course, when your car brakes, you'd recharge that battery just a little bit, and then you'd use that energy up within probably 10 seconds of full hard acceleration. Now, what I'm saying, guys, is this SF90 is all show and no go. Unfortunately, it's made to go very fast for a very, very short period of time. That's right. Very fast for a very short period of time. Now, what about Porsche? We've got Rimac. They are killing it. What about Porsche? Well, the Taycan is an unusual car. All of the petrol fans said Porsche owners will never buy electric. Never. They'll never do it. They love sports cars. They love the purity of a sports car. They'll never go electric. However, very interestingly, the fastest people in the world to transition to electric cars are sports car owners, because have a look at the sales of the Porsche Taycan. They are exploding. And yet, that is in spite of the fact that Porsche has an obvious battery supply problem and cannot supply enough Taycans to meet demand. These very same people purchasing sports cars were the ones that everyone said would not buy EVs, and yet they are doing so. Before the middle of this year, Porsche Taycan sales will be more than Porsche 911 sales worldwide. Yep, that's correct. However, expect that to double, because Porsche are going to bring out the new, much more practical Porsche Taycan Cross Turismo. And this car will take a huge amount of sales. Why? Well, because it's much more practical, and I believe it will actually be better than the Taycan. Now, Porsche are not standing still. They're just like Rimac, they're just like Tesla. They don't stand still. They are obviously constantly, their engineers are constantly working on improving their batteries, improving their motors, improving their performance, improving every part of their vehicles. And we're looking at the first generation here. The first generation of a product is always got a huge amount of room to improve very, very quickly. Imagine how good the Porsche Taycan will be by 2025. Imagine how good the Tesla Model S will be by 2025. Imagine how good, you can say this for hundreds of electric cars that are due either this year or next year. Imagine how good they'll be by 2025, by which point Ferrari still will not have made an EV. That is what their CEO said, and that is why you should not invest in Ferrari. EVs are simply faster than non-EV cars. They're simply faster than gas-powered, petrol-powered diesel vehicles, and that is a fact, a mathematical fact that you cannot ignore. It's just reality. It's just science. It's just chemistry. There's nothing you can do. Obviously, Porsche Taycan buyers are aware of that. They know that. Why do you think they're buying them? They're buying the first generation of a car, which clearly will be much better in a year or two's time. And yet, they still think it's superior to the... They're missing out on the noise. I understand the noise. It's certainly an appeal of a supercar is the noise. But what are Porsche buyers buying? Well, they're choosing not for the noise, but for silence and greater performance and just a greater vehicle in general. So, what are Ferrari's plans over the next decade? Well, Ferrari have said they don't plan on even building an EV until after 2025. They claim, in fact, that the reason for this is because there is currently, the technology does not, they said this in December of last year, the technology does not exist to make an EV at the level that is good enough. Well, clearly they haven't talked to Mate at Rimac, have they? Because what are Rimac doing? They just blew you out of the water. They just showed you what real performance is. The Ferrari SF90 Stradale got absolutely destroyed by the Rimac, and the thing is, this Rimac has a 120 kilowatt hour battery. It could have done another 20 quarter miles without any decrease in performance. Unlike the Ferrari with its 7 kilowatt hour battery, which would have seen a huge drop off in performance after the third run. Unlike Ferrari, the Rimac can do the Nürburgring twice without a reduction in performance. Twice. That's about 14 minutes of 100% flat out driving. It was built to do that. Now, clearly the technology exists. Ferrari is choosing to bury their head in the sand. They're choosing this because they're looking at this in the scarcity mode. They want to protect what they have. They're afraid to lose what they have. And this is exactly when companies are ripe for disruption. This is exactly the point in which a company becomes ripe for disruption. Last year, Ferrari's sales went down. In 2020, Ferrari's sales went down. Sure, some of you will say, well, so did lots of people's. It was the coronavirus's fault. Tesla sales didn't go down. Porsche's sales didn't go down. Sales of the Taycan didn't go down. They increased. And what did many of the world's brands do during 2020? They focused their efforts on building powerful, faster, more efficient, more effective, cheaper, better EVs because they know they are the future. If Ferrari don't know this, you should not be investing in the company. Now, I cannot understand why people are choosing to invest in this company because all you need to do is a Google search. Before you invest in a company, I believe you should spend at least 100 hours of your own time investigating that company, doing your homework. Don't listen like a sheep to other people. Do your own research. Don't listen to me. Don't take my word for something. If I say something and you think that might be true or you think that might be wrong, do your own research. It's not difficult. Obviously, we all know that. It's not hard, is it? Do a Google search. What's Ferrari's PE? Ferrari's PE, price to earnings ratio, is 50, right? The average on the stock exchange over the last 100 years, PE is 15. Well, right now it's a little higher at around about 18. So 18. So in other words, the market is pricing Ferrari as a growth stock, and yet Ferrari's sales declined last year. How exactly does Ferrari get priced as a growth stock with declining sales and no indication of wanting to plan for the future? No indication or no awareness of what the market actually wants. When Matt Watson from Carwell made that video, within 24 hours, the video had 3 million views. How many views do you think that video is going to have in a month's time? How many millions of people are going to find out just what Rimac has done? Not just then. The first version of Rimac's supercar, the C1, was already the fastest car in the world. It was already superior to the Bugatti Chiron. We already knew then, 3 years ago, that electric was the future. Now, just over 2 weeks ago, Jay Leno confirmed on a podcast yesterday that the Tesla Model S Plaid, not the Plaid Plus, the future model which will be even faster again, but Jay Leno confirmed that the Tesla Model S Plaid broke the quarter-mile world record for a production car. The Bugatti Chiron had held the record, and the reason for that is because Rimac's first car wasn't considered a production car because it didn't sell enough numbers. So, Tesla came along. The Chiron had the world record at 9.4 seconds quarter mile, and Tesla did it in 9.23 in a family sedan with 5 seats and a huge boot. Easily. It repeatedly did it, in fact. Didn't just do it once. Jay Leno drove the car with 2 passengers in there, an extra 150 to 200 kilos of weight, and did it in 9.5 seconds. Now it'll do 0 to 60 in 1.99 seconds. It will be unquestionably faster than the Ferrari SF90 Stradale. Now some of you will say, yes, but it's a Ferrari and there's more to it and there's more passion and emotion, and there is. But how long can Ferrari trade on that? How long can Ferrari trade on being slower but having passionate brand fans and supporters? Well, not very long, and I'll tell you why. Not very long. This is why. Ferrari cannot trade on this after 2030, because by 2030, Euro emissions will basically mean it's impossible to sell a petrol-powered car. Now, guys, some of you are going to... There's a lot of petrol fans I've seen online on the forums crying their eyes out and saying it's all a big conspiracy and coming up with all the conspiracy theories and whinging. And you know what? Petrol and diesel, what is the difference? Morons, what is the difference between smoking a cigarette, passive smoking by someone sitting next to you, or sitting next to an exhaust pipe? There is not much difference. Both of them cause cancer. We know that, idiots. Petrol fans who aren't aware of this, do some research, please. Please do it. There is no difference between sucking in the fumes from diesel cars and petrol cars, diesel's worse, versus passively smoking cigarette smoke. Now, how do you feel when you walk past someone smoking a cigarette and you smell that smell? Nobody likes it. People used to put up with this in the past, but nobody does now. It's just not the thing to do. So, we've already seen Euro emissions are going to basically ban the sale of petrol and diesel cars by 2030. In addition to that, many countries have already planned on phasing them out or banning them by 2030 or 2035. What exactly is Ferrari going to do when Porsche, Tesla, Rimac, Audi, many other brands have been working on their supercars, their electric cars, their battery packs, their motors for that specific type of vehicle, everything for that vehicle, and have been perfecting them day by day, year by year for 10 years. When suddenly Ferrari gets told, Ferrari, you cannot sell your petrol-powered vehicles anymore. What will they do? Just sell them to people in the Middle East? Who knows? Maybe the Middle East will ban them as well. It's going to be very hard for Ferrari unless they suddenly have a change of heart. Now, what I suggest you do if you own Ferrari stock is sell it. If you don't want to do that, well, you are a shareholder. You do get to make decisions as part of the company. You should request that the CEO be removed. The CEO has no plan for the future and doesn't know what to do because he sees this situation in scarcity mode. Rather than seeing opportunity, he sees problems. Other car makers see opportunity and they are taking that opportunity with open arms. They are grabbing that opportunity, and that is what Porsche is doing right now. Whether you like it or not, whether you like the brand or not, that is what they're doing. That is what Tesla is doing. The Tesla Roadster will come to market within the next 24 months and will also give people an option versus buying a Ferrari. When people see the superior performance, the price, much superior performance, a longer range. Yes, guys, Ferraris don't have a very long range. People all talk about range anxiety. Supercars actually usually have quite a short range. However, the Tesla Roadster will have a 1,000 kilometer range. Imagine that, a supercar with a 1,000 kilometer range. This is where the market is going. Ferrari isn't going with it. Unfortunately, I love the company. I love Ferraris. I love seeing a Ferrari. I love driving past. I love hearing their noise. There's so many things I love about it, but as we all know, things change. Times change. Eventually, the noise of a car will become synonymous with slow and dirty. Slow and dirty, because that's what it actually is. Electric cars have proven petrol is slow, and we now know that it's also dirty, that it pollutes, that it burns fossil fuels, and that it poisons our lungs. That's just a fact. I'm not talking here about any kind of emotion, just logic. Just logic. So if you own Ferrari shares or you're looking at the company, invest elsewhere. Buy Tesla, BYD, Volkswagen. On that note, thanks for watching. Remember to subscribe. I really appreciate your support, and I'll aim to bring you some videos in the future showing you much more detail about these companies, what they're doing in future, how they're doing it, what their plans are for the next 10 years, so you can see what's happening, you can see what's changing, you can see where you can invest your money, you can see where you should focus your time, or you can just see which car you should buy. Those kinds of things. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.